Yeah, Matt, there's a report out that Teddy is expected to miss now that he's had a couple days of limited participation. Is that the way this is heading?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't say that.
How would you characterize it?
He's. I mean, he's extremely limited right now. He's throwing all the routes and stuff. But not with anyone around him. We don't want him to get stepped on or hurt. But I mean, he's moving around well in terms of jogging and hasn't really opened up yet. So I don't know what he'll do until he does that, and we're trying to be smart about when to do that. He's preparing as if he's going to play. If he gets, if we get to Sunday and he feels like he can play, or if he feels like he can play, Saturday, if he feels like, hey, I can definitely do this, then we're going to play him.
Let's go to David Newton, followed by Mike Solarte.
That's kind of along the lines of what I was going to ask, Matt. Just wanted to follow up on that, though, is when we saw him out there jogging a little bit like to the huddle, when would you be the latest you would be willing to go with opening up and see what he could do? And I got to follow up on that.
Like I said, if he's preparing as if he's going to play, I'm not going to put him out there if he's going to hurt himself. But if he can play, he's going to play. So if he gets there Sunday and he's ready to go, then then we're going to play with him.
And to follow, when you saw him last year, what he did with New Orleans going 5-0, what all did you learn watching that made you feel more comfortable that he can be your franchise guy that you may not have known had he not done that?
I mean, he made crucial throws. He made the throws that we make in this offense. He threw I can't remember what it was. He threw a covered corner out. I can't remember which team it was against. Maybe Chicago. To put the game away. You could just see that he can operate within the things that we do. It's really, Joe's offense is really a version of the Saints. So you could see him making all the throws, making all the checks. You could see him lead, and you could see him win.
Hey, Coach, Mike Solarte, Spectrum News 1. Asked this question of Coach Snow earlier because he made a reference to how many young guys he's been playing on his side of the team. There have been a lot of young guys on this roster getting a lot of playing time. How much of a challenge is that from a coaching perspective, trying to get these guys up to speed? I know we're going into week 11 here, or 12 or whatever year we're in. But I mean, what's the biggest challenge for the coaches to try to get these young guys going, and from just your seat?
It's one thing to know the assignment. It's another thing to have mastery. It's another thing. It's one thing to be a professional athlete and get paid. It's one thing to know how to truly be a pro. In terms of taking care of yourself, taking care of your body, understanding the grind, understanding how to take notes. Guys that come from college, some come in with a fair, decent knowledge of that. Some not as much. Guys that have lasted in the NFL for 5, 6, 7 years, they know how to do those things. And so, we have a good group of young guys. They've developed throughout the course of the year, but at the same time, a lot of them, their roles have accelerated. And so, it's one thing to, hey, I'm going to, be the gunner and the jammer on the punt and punt return teams. I'm going to play on kickoff, and, all of a sudden now I'm the starting corner. But what a tremendous opportunity for them to show what they can do. So from a coaching perspective, you maybe can't do quite as much. You maybe can't do quite as much game plan wise to take away their best player, because, they're still figuring out some of the, more basic things. But, it's a situation we're in, and, we know that we'll look up in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Those guys will have a lot of experience. So as I said to them today, this is the National Football League. There are no excuses. Like, I expect whether you're a 7-year vet or this is, week, as you said, week 10 or 11 for you as a player, there's a standard, and you have to play to it. So we're not waiting for the future. We're just understanding that these guys will get better and better and better. So we'll just have to keep coaching them.
Let's go to Skylar Callahan, followed by Steve Reed.
Hey, Matt, I know you were able to face Will twice in college during his time at West Virginia. Just kind of what did you think about him back then and comparing him then to now where he's at and kind of his development? And then where do you think he is in terms of grasping this offense? Because I know last year, different coaching staff, but there was some talk that maybe he wasn't quite catching on to it a little bit. But do you think that he's kind of catching on to this offense a little bit better?
So my recollection of Will was that he was always cool, calm, collected. He ran that team. They signaled the plays into him, and then he signaled them out to everybody. I remember when the draft process was going on, me saying, "Boy, he was, for a spread quarterback, he was as pro style as you could be," because he was checking plays, he was checking RPOs, he was doing all those things, and that ability to me to get people in the right play, to communicate, that's a lot of playing quarterback in the National Football League. There's no issues at all with his ability, with him grasping what we do. He's a worker. He's a grinder. He comes in, he prepares at a high level. He gets extra reps. He stays out after practice. He's always working. So his work ethic, his mental, toughness and all those things are real strengths that you saw in college and you see them now. I mean, I don't know about last year, but to me, he understands what we're doing, and what we're doing is so different than what he did in college, and it's so different than what they did last year in terms of the way that we coach playing quarterback in this system, and you can see him week in and week out just getting better and better and better at it.
Matt, you've had a couple days of practice this week, and I know you evaluate it week to week, but do you know who would start if Teddy can't go this week?
Yeah, we probably wouldn't say anything about that till Saturday or Sunday. Both guys are doing a good job. Obviously, I haven't seen the practice tape yet. There's we just walked off the practice field. I thought both guys yet again today did a nice job. Both guys have good energy in the huddle. Both guys are grinding away. We're convinced that both guys can be winning quarterbacks in the National Football League. So we'll go all the way through the week, and if Teddy doesn't go, then we would pick the guy we feel like gives us the best chance to win this week.
All right, let's go to Elena Getzenberg and then Jonathan Alexander.
Matt, yesterday you had said you wanted to see how Teddy responded to yesterday's work. So did he respond as you expected? Were there any setbacks or anything like that?
No setbacks. It's just a process. It's just a process to see, A, how he feels, and then B, I think the biggest thing for me is just how functional his movement is, in the pocket. Teddy's greatest gift in terms of playing quarterback is his pocket movement and awareness and ability to hang in there. And so, for him to play for us, he has to have that. And so, in terms of dropping back, throwing, all those things, he looks good, but, can he do those things? And, no setbacks. It's just going to take a couple days to see, hey, is he going to be at prime level, or, what I don't want to do ever with any of our players is put them out there where they can hurt themselves more seriously.
And then I was curious, I asked Joe this too, but you said this was a big evaluation week for PJ and Will, even if Teddy was to play Sunday. So is there anything in particular you're watching for when you watch them out there? Like, are there specific things you want to see them do, or anything in particular?
Just prepare, and then the way that they play. So often both those guys, they're throwing the other team's routes, and so it's hard to evaluate a guy on a play he doesn't really run or know. So this week they're running our plays, and so you get to see both of them, playing, with our plays, doing our things, and their preparation level. And both guys' preparation level all year has been outstanding, and so that's not really a question. It's just more, get a chance to see them play quarterback in our system. I haven't really had a chance to do that very much. I mean, here and there, but not very much since camp. And they're way different players since camp.
Hey, man, I hope you're doing well. I don't know if you can say this, but what type of grade of the AC joint separation did Christian have?
I don't know that maybe Bruce can answer that. I don't know that I can answer that, just out of, respect for Christian.
Sure. And also, have you noticed more of a need or a trend in the hybrid type player similar to Jeremy Chin? in recent years?
Yeah, I think everyone's looking for those guys, guys who can play, multiple positions, guys who can be on the field and can, line up in one position, be, one thing, and the next snap, one snap be one position, the next snap be another position. Jeremy Chinn's probably as versatile a player as there is, right now that we've seen, and Curtis Samuel on the other side of the ball, probably as versatile. So, we're trying to, make the most out of, not really make the most. We're trying to help guys play their best football. And so if there's multiple things that they can do, we want to make the most out of those opportunities.
Let's go to Brett Jensen and then Nick Carboni.
Yeah, Matt, I'm curious. When the NFL decided to put the lockdown on in terms of making all teams go through the COVID response, did that make things more difficult for you just because you guys are trying to actually maybe potentially have a new starting quarterback in terms of team meetings and stuff like that? Has it made the process more difficult?
Not really. We were under that intense protocol for 2 weeks. So we've already gotten used to most of the things. I had to tell my wife that, like literally the things outside the building, are maybe a little harder, in terms of, just even running into another coach or, that lives, I can't go see another, I can't run into one of the assistant coaches, out somewhere. We have to be really diligent and vigilant about some of the new things that have been added in terms of outside the building, but within the building, we've been under it because of, the things that happened after the first Falcons game. And a lot of them, I think we were doing anyway. I think Eddie Levens and Dr. Gritter, they do such a good job. I think that we're already doing most of them.
Matt, I'm not sure the exact timeline of your recruitment of PJ at Temple. I know you guys arrived at the same time as head coach and quarterback, but you had been there a few years earlier. If you did have heavy involvement with his recruitment, what do you remember about that? And how would you describe your relationship with him as head coach and quarterback when he was there with you?
So he was committed to the head coach before me, Steve Adazio. And when I got the job, Francis Brown, who was a great recruiter and coach for me, said, "Hey, coach, this is the first guy you have to go see." So we went up to Elizabeth, New Jersey, and I remember we went to, I think it was Applebee's with he and his family. We were also recruiting 2 other guys from Elizabeth. So, and they all knew each other. So we went to dinner at Applebee's and we sat there, and I just remember they had just won the state championship and PJ had driven them I think it was 97 yards with a minute left to win the state championship in New Jersey. And they were talking about the year before when they lost it as juniors. And I remember PJ saying, all he could do was talk about that year and how disappointed he was and the things he did wrong. And I remember saying to myself, what a winner this guy is. He just won the state championship, but he cares so much about football that he's talking about the year before. So that story kind of always, stuck to my head. And then as my starting quarterback, I waited about 4 or 5 weeks, and then we put him in one game, week game 3, played a little bit. Then we put him in, and, we took off from there. And just like he did in high school, we went to the championship game as a junior. He won it as a senior. He was a guy on our team that everyone respected. He was very, very easy to coach. He loves football. So those were my memories of him. And then, obviously since then, I've just tried to keep up with him and watch him in the XFL and when he was with the Colts, like I do with all the guys that played for me.
Guys, we have time for 3 more. So let's go to Steven Toronto, then Sharon Thorsland, finish with Joe Person.
Coach, a couple weeks ago, you were talking about players from East Texas, and one of those players, Adrian Peterson, is still chugging along at 35 years old. What do you attribute his longevity at the running back position to, and how much of a challenge does he still present for your defense?
Well, it's funny. Teddy and I were walking down after practice, and he was talking about playing with him in Minnesota. We were talking about the weather. He was talking about just how the things that he would do. I think he's one of the most gifted football players, one of the most dominant football players. Really of my watching football generation era. And so I think elite talent has a big part of it. And then tremendous work ethic. And you watch him run the ball now. I mean, he runs the ball hard and with passion, and still has great feet. Still remember the first couple runs he made after coming back from hurting his knee. He came back so quickly, and the runs he made were unbelievable. So I just think he's really gifted, but he also has a tremendous work ethic, and his running style fits their offense. He's a physical runner who has great quickness and speed, and it'll be a challenge. We're coming off a game where we gave up a long run, and we can't do that and win.
Aaron, you need to unmute.
Yep, sorry. Hey, Coach, I'm going to ask you about the Lions offensive line, particularly Matt Stafford. I know he's got that thumb injury, but is expected to play. What have you seen out of him, and how he's directing that offense this season?
He's unbelievable. His ability to run with the football, his ability to slide in the pocket, his ability to make all these different arm slot throws, and his ability to push the ball down the field. I mean, he's as dangerous a quarterback as we've seen, and we've seen most of the great ones so far this year, and he's right there. I mean, he's explosive, and I think a big part of it, which people don't maybe talk about as much, as his ability to move and slide and throw. We have to be so good in terms of keeping him in the pocket, or having someone else, keep him in the pocket, because he can hurt you in many different ways. But I'm beyond impressed with everything that I've seen from him.
Hey, Matt, I think this came up earlier in the week, but just wondered if you're in a position where can you confirm it's an MCL sprain for Teddy at this point?
Say it again.
Is it an MCL sprain for Teddy?
I mean, I think he's got a knee injury. He's got a couple things with the knee that he's been dealing with. I'm not going to probably get into exactly diagnosis and all that, but a knee injury, and he's battling through it.